Do you want to make this cool case opening spinner in Scratch? Well, in this video, I am going to show you exactly how to build one that you could place in any project. Alright, let's get started. First, I will name my project Case Opening Spinner. Now, click on the Costumes tab. What we want to do here is delete both of the cat sprites. Now, before we start making the sprites, I want you all to look over here. You will see two numbers here. As you create a box, keep an eye on those numbers and adjust the box size until they read 110 by 80. Now drag the box to the center and color it as you wish. I will color mine gray. Now you can customize this box however you like. You may follow my design if you want. Now that you have a nice design, you can put any item you would like to display in the box. I'm just gonna use one of the sprites in the Scratch library. Now you want to create a few more items to add to the spinner. You can choose any amount you want, but I'm gonna make 6 for this video. After creating a few more costumes, make sure you name each one. This will be important later. We are now going to create 2 additional costumes. A line costume to indicate which item the spinner lands on. And a black screen costume to serve as a nice background. Now that we are done here, let's go back to the coding section and begin with a new broadcast and name it Spinner. Let's also create some new variables. First, create one called clone type and set it to for this sprite only. Next, create another variable and call it clone offset and also set that for this sprite only. Additionally, we will also make 2 more variables, one called x velocity and another one called current frame. Now drag a green flag block and under that block, place a hide block and a switch costume block and set it to spinner line. Now under the spinner broadcast, place a go to front block as well as a set variable block and select x velocity. Now drag a pick random block and drag it into the x velocity block. Set the values to -74.1 and -75. And then place a current frame block under it. Next, you want to make a new custom block and name it clone. Make sure run without screen refresh is on. Next, we need to grab a set clone type variable and set the value to black screen. Then, put a create clone of myself block under the variable. Now grab another variable block, select clone offset, and set the value to 1. Now you want to put another set clone type variable, and this time set this one to items. Lastly, get a repeat block, and set the value to 6 and put the following blocks inside the loop. Now let's start creating the items themselves. We first want to grab a when I start as clone block. Then we put an if statement under that block. Now drag a equals block and put it inside the if statement. Also drag a clone type block into the equals block. Then set the other value to items. Now drag a set costume block into the if statement. Then drag a pick random block and set the value from 3 to the last costume number your sprite has. This will be temporary. Next, you want to drag a forever loop inside and then put the following blocks inside our loop. We are now going to put another if statement and make it so it checks if the clone's X position is less than -300. Then we put a change clone offset block and set the value to 6, as well as a change costume block. Lastly, put another if statement and then make it check if X velocity is equal to 0. Make the clone delete itself after 1 second. Now the next thing we want to work on is making the spinner, well, actually spin. So here's what we have to do. First of all, under the spinner broadcast, put a set position to 0, block and put a show block. Now grab a repeat until block and make it repeat until X velocity is equal to 0. Now put a change current frame block inside and make it change by X velocity. Then put a set velocity block under the current frame block and set the value to X velocity times 0.99. Now put the next 2 following if statements as well as the code being placed. Also, put a switch costume to spinner line under the show block. I forgot to do this in the video. Finally, put a 1 second wait block and a hide block to finish it off. Let's click on the broadcast block and see how spinner come to life.
Wow!
Look at that. We have an amazing case opening spinner right now. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video so far, dropping a like and hitting the subscribe button would mean the world to me. This is my very first upload on this channel, and every bit of support will help me push through and keep improving to make even better content for you guys. Anyways, back to the video. One important note to make is that these values can actually be adjusted to change the speed of the spinner. However, if you're uncertain about these values, it's best to leave them unchanged. Let's now create a new variable and call it selected item. Now go to your stage and quickly double tap on your variable, and now it should look something like this. Next, we'll add the following pieces of code shown on screen. This will help display to the user which items the spinner lands on. Now put the hide and show variable blocks in the following location and make sure it's select item. Now we'll add the following pieces of code shown on screen. We are now going to go to the costumes tab. We are going to duplicate our black backdrop by right clicking the costume. Then we are going to rename it to click to leave. Then we are going to write some text down here to ask the user to click on the screen. Now add on to the code with the following steps. If you decide to test your spinner after this step, it may not work properly, which is normal. We will fix this later on in the video. Next, we're gonna make the spinner announce the item the player receives. To do that, we'll use the join block to put the message together. As you can see, we now have a clean backdrop behind our spinner, and when it stops spinning, it also tells us exactly which item we received. Okay, now it's time to create the randomization part. We are gonna make a custom block. We should have a label and input called item name, and another label and input called item chance. We'll also create a new list and name it list of items. What we want to do now is drag out a new green flag block, add a delete all from list block, and then start typing in your costume names along with the drop chance. It's highly recommended that all of the values add up to 100% for clean balanced results. Next, we want to drag a repeat block under our custom block. Inside that repeat block, place a add ding to list block. Then drag the pink item input sticker into the ding slot of that block. After that, drag in a multiplication block and place in the repeat block. Then put a chance input block inside it. The number you would multiply it by depends on how precise you want the chance to be. The higher the number you choose, the smaller the possible chance becomes. For example, if you use 10, the lowest chance can be 0.1. But if you put a value of 1000, the lowest chance can be 0.001. For this video, I recommend setting the value to 100, as higher numbers can cause lag. Now we want to create another custom block. Name this one pick item. This will randomize the costumes based off the drop chances you set. Now, it's time to remove our placeholder blocks and replace them with our new custom block. Under the pick items custom block, place the following blocks. As you can see, when you now test your spinner, all the items appear in their proper random chances. We are now going to create our final custom block, which will simply give the user their reward. Now we'll use if statements to check which item the spinner lands on and give the user the correct reward. Make sure you type in the correct costume name. What you put in each if statement is completely up to you and how you want to reward the player. For this example, I'll give the user some coins as the reward. Finally, we're gonna add two sounds. One that plays for each tick of the spinner, and another that plays after the spinner lands on an item. And that's it! You've now have built a complete case opening spinner that rewards the user and fulfills the user's gambling experience. Cut that out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, this is my very first upload on this channel, so a like and subscribe would really help me out a lot. Also, feel free to leave any comment down below with any feedback. I would love to read what you think. And if you have any trouble following the tutorial, I have linked the full project down in the description as well as the comments, so you can check that out anytime. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you have an amazing day. Also, please subscribe. This video took me a whole week to edit.